friends. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to have another episode of Let's Talk Tech. We are going to talk about an application that I use for my internet bookmarks. But before we dive into the content, I just want to take a moment to make a little shout out that this is our 50th episode. So yay, we've made it to 50. Hopefully we make it through many more. Thank you to those of you who have been watching and commenting. If there's anyone that you know that you feel would benefit from these videos, please share them. And if there's a topic that you would like me to cover, feel free to drop that in the comments. And if it's in my wheelhouse, I'm happy to accommodate. But back to the topic at hand. If you do any kind of knowledge work as a freelancer, whether you're doing research or writing, course design, consulting, if you're like me, you probably save a lot of links. There are those articles that you're going to read later, those tools that you want to test. I have a lot of those. Examples that you want to have for reference to easily return to, client resources, and just general inspiration that you don't want to lose. Now, I know that it's a challenge for me not to save these items. Saving them is easy. You just click the option from within the browser that you're using and you can save them. What the challenge for me before using Raindrop.io for bookmarks was finding them again. It's the biggest reason that I use Raindrop.io because Raindrop works everywhere. That means it works across all of my devices and all of my browsers. This is very important considering I am not always on the same device. And I'm not always in the same browser. Sometimes I'm using Microsoft Edge. Sometimes I'm using Google Chrome. Sometimes I'm using Safari. Once in a while, I'm even using DuckDuckGo. So I will save things from my laptop, from my phone, from my client's laptop. And that meant that I had bookmarks in several different places. And that wasn't working for me. So I researched tools that I could use that would help me better organize my bookmarks and make them inevitably easier to find. And I feel like Raindrop.io does that because my bookmarks stay in one place and they sync automatically. I don't have to remember what browser I was in or what device I was on when I saved something. Now, of course, I understand that if you're using Microsoft Edge under the same logon, for instance, across several devices, that your bookmarks will sync. My problem is I'm not always logged in under the same identity. Oftentimes my clients will give me temporary credentials that I'm using to log into their system, or I am simply using my personal logon rather than my work logon, or vice versa. So again, I needed something where I didn't have to remember where I saved it. Raindrop.io makes that easy for me compared to the built-in browser bookmarks. So Raindrop is really easy to access. You can download the app or you can access it on the web. It's entirely up to you. For me, that flexibility is important. Sometimes I will open up the app and search through my bookmarks in order to find something. Sometimes I'm using it with the add-on that I used to add it on to my various browsers on my laptop. This flexibility matters when everything isn't in one neat location or device. Another benefit of Raindrop.io is it's free. So it's another one of the reasons that I use it. They do have an upgraded version that you can subscribe to, but for me, I've never needed that. The free version does exactly what I need, because with the free plan, I can save unlimited bookmarks. I can organize them into collections. I can use tags for searching, which is tremendously useful because I create the tags. You can use one tag, you can use numerous tags, and then you can search for those tags later. So really easy to find the sites that you saved. And as I mentioned, everything is accessible across all of your different browsers and devices. So I haven't needed anything more than that, which is why it's an easy tool that I'm giving a good recommendation to, especially for freelancers who are intentional about keeping the number of subscriptions that they have down. We have so many useful tools that are available to us, but we have to look at them with a careful eye so that we can obviously stay within the budget that we set. So back to the tagging from Raindrop AI. The tags make the bookmarks searchable, and that is a very useful feature. In my opinion, the tagging system is where Raindrop really shines, because instead of relying only on folders, you can tag the bookmarks based on what they're about. That means that you don't have to remember where something lives, just what it relates to. So you could hashtag certain things. Whatever hashtags are helpful to you, you can label them. So maybe I would hashtag an article with instructional design, freelancing, or a specific tool, but then later I can search any of those tags and find it instantly. The tags basically turn the bookmarks into a searchable knowledge base instead of just a digital junk drawer, and I definitely don't need any more of those. Now, Raindrop also lets you create collections without having to overthink your organizational structure. Raindrop's collections give you a structure without forcing perfection. I use them for broader categories like research areas, ongoing projects, or general interests. Raindrop is a versatile tool and it's pretty agile. You can move your bookmarks easily between collections. You can combine collections with certain tags. And this lets you avoid the mental overhead of overly rigid folder systems. To me, Raindrop.io feels flexible, which really matters when your work spans multiple clients and topics and browsers. Additionally, Raindrop also shows visual previews of saved pages, which is super helpful when you have a visual memory because it makes your scanning faster. Oh yes, that's the site. It looked like that thumbnail, and you can pull it up and select it much more quickly, especially when the website titles aren't memorable, which is something that I find happens too often. Now, you can also add notes and descriptions for each of your bookmarks if you'd like. That could give you more detail for when you are searching through your bookmarks later looking to access a certain one. Of course, utilizing these fields would help future you understand why the link mattered in the first place, which can be surprisingly important for long-term projects. I know that I often return to sites that I saved years ago, maybe haven't visited recently, but really do apply to a new specific project that I'm working on. Now, as I mentioned, I simply use the free version of Raindrop.io, but it does also have a paid pro version if you need more. I just personally haven't needed it. Why would you want to upgrade? Well, maybe you want permanent copies of saved pages. Obviously, this can be really useful if you work in an industry where content often disappears or changes. If you want to mark things up with highlights or annotations directly onto those saved articles without using an additional tool, you could use the pro version of Raindrop. Also, they do offer more advanced organization and storage options with their pro version than they do with their free version. So if you need to treat your bookmarks more so as a long-term research archive than just saved links like I do, then you would probably want to consider looking into the pro version. It would probably be beneficial for you. For instance, people doing deep research, academic work, or heavy content curation, it could make those features worth paying for. But for my current workflow, the free plan has been more than enough. But it's nice knowing that there's room to grow into a subscription plan without switching tools if I ever needed to go down that road. So again, why I chose to use this tool is because I don't like to rely on browser bookmarks alone, because I am sometimes working in different browsers, or even when I am working in the same browser, I am using a different identity and it doesn't sync those identities across my bookmarks as well as I want it to all the time. So if you're like me and you use multiple browsers, you switch devices, and you also want a better way to search your bookmarks, that really, again, was one of the key factors for me to use Raindrop, is that searching capability. So in conclusion, I would recommend Raindrop for a few reasons. It's free to get started, so why not try it? It works across all of your devices and browsers. You can access it on the website or in the app. You can easily search through your bookmarks using the tags, the customized tags that you created, and that it keeps all of your bookmarks organized without being rigid. It's one of those tools that quietly supports your work in the background. And for freelancers, having reliable systems for saving and finding what you need to access in the future is very valuable than it might seem at first glance. If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.